is rotations, our rotations lesson. So first off, a rotation is a transformation that is turned about a fixed point. So of course, just to make it easy for you, that a transformation is a turn. Okay, and just as a review, we already learned about, and let me make that a lot smaller. We've already learned about translations, reflections, and this newest one is rotations. Where for translations, that was a slide where we just slid the figure somewhere. Reflections was like a flip across some type of line of reflection, and then our rotation is a turn. Okay, like a twist or a turn. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our rotation lesson for today. All right, so we have three rules for rotations, where you're either going to have a 90-degree clockwise or 270-degree counterclockwise. Those are going to be equivalent to each other, and you can look here where they have, and it's really blurry, but you can look here where 90 degrees counterclockwise or 270 is always going to be there. And the way that you know that is, if you wanted to know the background, you could start here for a 0, and again, I'll make that really small, or a lot smaller than it already is. All right, so here would be my 0 degrees. Then if I turn 90 counterclockwise, then it's going to be here. Keep going, 90 more is 180. It's just going in a circle, and then it keeps going to 270. I'm adding 90 every time until I make a whole circle, which is my 360. Okay, and of course that would be counterclockwise when I'm going up, and then it'd be clockwise going the opposite direction, where I'm actually just going down in the direction of the clock. So here would have been my 90 degrees clockwise. Keep going, I got 180 degrees clockwise, again 270 degrees clockwise, and one more for my 360 degrees clockwise. Okay, so again, a clock turns this way, right? We always go that way to get to our new time. Okay, so that was just a little basic why we go that way for clockwise and counterclockwise. So if it's clockwise, these are going to be your rules. So you'll have that the original point, which is here, which is your XY, and go ahead and put this on your paper as well. This is my original point. And my new point, what's happened is I've swapped the X and Y, and I've made Y its opposite. So you can kind of think of it in this visual here. If I had XY with a 90-degree turn, I know a 90-degree clockwise turn is going to look like this. So what I'm going to do every time I make some type of rotation, I'm going to switch my X and Y. And with that turn, with this arrow is telling me which new position, which side, the first or the second one, is supposed to be its opposite. And that's going to be my X here. So it kind of matches there. So you can see that's what's going to happen. I'm going to switch every time that I have 90 degrees, but I'm going to end up, whatever it's pointing at, that's the one that's going to be, or have the negative, which just means this is opposite. All right, so let's do that. So practicing here, we have our original points, okay, we have to go here. I was wondering, confused. All right, so we need to go ahead and plot, or it's already plotted, so we need to see what these points are. Point A is located at the point 3, 1. Point B, and I'll use a different color, is at the point, and I can always just see these points really easily by just kind of counting. I go 1, 2, 3 to the right, so that's 3. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4 up, so that's 3, 4. And my final one, I'm going to keep it there. My final one is C, where it's just 1, 1. All right, and now I'm going to use my rules for rotation to find where my image is going to be. Remember, pre-image, of course, is the original shape, and the image is the new shape. Okay. All right, so my image, I'm going to swap my x and y. So I'm going to have 1 and 3. And then since I did the 90-degree clockwise turn, I'm going to make the x be its opposite. Opposite of 3 is -3. That's my new point. Okay, and I'm going to name this point, and let me move this out of the way. Oops, this whole thing. I'm going to name this point A prime. And if you recall, A prime, that's how you say this. This little apostrophe represents prime, which just means this whole thing means the new location of point A. Okay, so moving on to the next one. So I'm going to swap the 4 and the 3. And the 3 is now going to be its opposite. Okay, again, I'm just going straight by what my rule has told me to do. And for my last one, I'm going to swap, which really doesn't look like anything, but this second number is going to be its opposite. All right, now that I have these, I'm going to go ahead and graph them, and I'm going to graph them with the same colors I just used them in. So my this should be C prime and B prime here. All right, C prime is 1, -1. So that is here. B prime is 4, -3. And A prime is 1, -3. All right, now I'm just going to connect my dots, which I didn't actually do that. Okay, there we go. Connect my dots so you can see where they are, and that's my new rotated figure. All right. Oops. Okay, I knew I messed up something. It looked all weird. Okay, this actually should be here. This B is supposed to be a little bit farther over here. It's supposed to be 4, -3. There it is, because it wasn't the right size. Okay, now I have my correct one. Okay, and I am good with my first example. All right, then I have 180-degree clockwise or counterclockwise. It goes either way. Again, if I look back at that rule that I showed you before, where I had the x, y, 180 is equal to 2 of the 90 degrees, right? So I'm going to actually swap it over twice. So if I'm doing that, I have to swap the x once, twice. Okay, so both of them have now been turned to their opposites because they both have the little arrows pointing to them, right? So they're now their opposites, and they swapped spots twice as well. So the first time, the first 90 degrees I know looks like this over here, okay, this one over here, but the second one is just going to go right back to where it was. So the first turn would have been y comma x, but the second one is x comma y again, and now they're both their opposites. So again, if you want to remember that, like, you could think of little tricks like that in your head. Okay, that could help you out. All right, so with this in mind, I'm just going to go ahead, and I'm not going to worry about the colors this time, and I'm going to erase this from over here as well. All right, so our pre-image, we're going to go, I think it's the same one. It is. So we can just copy those from the previous example. And then I had 3, 4 and 1, 1. Okay, so my new image is just going to be all of these. The x and the y are going to stay in their same position, but they're going to be their opposite. So instead of 3, 1, I'll have -3, -1. Instead of 3, 4, -3, -4. And instead of 1, 1, -1, -1. Go ahead and graph those. So -3, 1 is A prime. -3, 4 is B prime. Oh, sorry. You know what? That's supposed to be -3, -4. It's really easy to mess yourself up with this, like I seem to constantly do. Okay, that's B prime. Oops. And finally, -1, -1 is C prime. Okay, and now I have my translated figure, or transformed figure, so I rotate it. All right, and that is it for the second example. All right, and my final example here is the 270 to the 90. So 270-degree clockwise turn or the 90-degree counterclockwise turn. So you go from the original to the new point by swapping x and y, and your y becomes its opposite. So again, if I was looking at that little trick that I showed you where you have your original, I'm gonna rewrite this here. I'll put the original in black. The original is xy. Okay, the changes are going to be in the green. So it was a 90-degree counterclockwise. I'll just do that one easier. So counterclockwise, I'm going to be going to the left. So I'm going to have it here. So remember, anytime you turn, you have to switch the x and the y, and wherever it's pointing to is going to be its opposite. And so if you can see here, this matches exactly what this set up there. Okay, so it's going to work every time that you use it. Because again, when you take your EOC at the end of the year, you won't actually be able to use your notes or anything. So you have to kind of remember this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So my pre-image again is the exact same thing. I'm going to rewrite those points from the previous problems. All right, I know I'm going to have my new locations here. So switch x and y, and I'll have my x being exactly the same. So 3, 3, 1, and the y's change to their opposites. So -1, -4, -1. All right, and then I'm just graphing. So I have -1, 3. That is point A prime. -4, 3 is B prime, and finally -1, 1 is C prime. Okay, and I'm just gonna have it there. All right, so now I have my rotated figure. Okay. One other thing I would like to say about this before I move on to the practice problems here is what you can do is whenever you're rotating it, whenever you're rotating here, if you go back to this original thing here, and I'll take all this extra stuff off, you can see, you can just find so many patterns that'll help you learn about this as well, okay? Because you'll find things that make sense to you. However it makes sense to you, stick with it. So if I switched 90 degrees, right, from, let's say my original point, if I had the point 1, 3, and let's say I wanted to rotate it 180 degrees. Let's say I did 180 degrees counterclockwise. Doesn't really matter. Counterclockwise. So I'd go, that's like two different, that's going to be two different 90s, right? It's two of the 90 degrees. So if that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to go from quadrant 1. Here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I'm going counterclockwise, I'm going to go the opposite way of a clock. So I'm going to go, this is my original, 90, 180, right? I'm going to end up in the third quadrant. So what's going to happen is that 1, 3 becomes a -1, -3, because all the points in quadrant 1 are positive. All the points in quadrant 2, all my x's are negative, all my y's are positives. Okay, so that's going to tell you what your point's supposed to look like as well. All the points in quadrant 3 are negative, and all the points in quadrant 4 are positive, negative. Okay, so that's going to kind of tell you if you're on the right track. See where your original point was laying, and if it's changed, if you can easily tell which quadrant it's going into, that'll help you to see if your answer is, if it makes any kind of sense. Okay, so I would definitely have that help me because all my quadrants are 90 degrees as well. So that could help you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on and do some more examples with you. All right, so example, or I'm sorry, number 1 here, rhombus ABCD with vertices A, B, C, D, and they want us to do a 180-degree rotation. Again, it doesn't really matter when you get there. So we're going to go ahead and put these here as well. So I'm going to have my 2, 6. Go ahead and graph that. That is point A. 6, 7 is point B. 5, 3 is point C. And 1, 2 is point D. Okay. We've got my rhombus here. All right, and if it's going to be 180 degrees here, I know that my rule says to go from the original point to the new point. I'm just gonna make everything its opposite. So the opposite of point A is -2, -6. Okay, and I'm gonna do a whole different one over here. -2, -6. It is down here. That is A prime. I'll make it like this so you can actually see it down there. All right, then I'll move on, and I have for B, it's going to be -6, -7. Okay, -6, -7 is B prime. Okay, C will be -5, -3. -5, -3 is my C prime. And finally, I have D, which is going to be -1, -2. Okay, -1, -2 is my D prime. I'm going to go ahead and connect all of my points, and I have correctly redone my both of my original and my new shapes. Okay, and again, if you what I was just saying above, you know that this is quadrant 1, this top right is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, and 4. Quadrant 1's all positives. If you notice, all of our points for the original were all positives. Okay, then when I moved 180 degrees, that's 90 degrees and 90 more, right? That got me to quadrant 3, which has all negative points. That's the way that you can check yourself. Now I have all negatives here, and it works for me. Okay, so I know that I'm at least in the right ballpark, right? I'm at least there. Okay, so I'm going to take that off so it doesn't look too confusing. Okay. All right, moving on to number 2. Trapezoid STUV with vertices -7, -1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that. -7, -1, -2, -3, -2, -5. Oops, too far down. -5 and -7, -7. Okay. All right, and this is this trapezoid. So it's kind of like on its side. All right, that's the original. And it's going 90 degrees counterclockwise, which means it's going to go from here. It's going to go up. Okay, so I know that my entire trapezoid should now go from quadrant 3 to quadrant 2 up here. Oh, that's not a 2. To quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 has negative x's and positive y values. So that's going to help me to make sure that I get these correct answers here. Okay, so my x's should stay what they are because quadrant 3 had all negatives. So my x's should not change, but the y's should change to their opposites. And if you go back to your things for a 90 degree counterclockwise, that should be, oops, y comma x. Oops, sorry. Y comma -x. There you go. I forgot to switch them. Okay. So y comma -x. There you go. I always forgot to switch them. Always forget that last part. Okay. So then I can go ahead and do those. So I'm going to swap the x and the y. So I'll have, swap their location. So I'll have this and this, right? I swap them and then make the x value its opposite. So instead of -7, a +7. And it matches up to what we said over here, where it's supposed to be a negative comma positive. Okay, so then I can go ahead and graph that, and I'm going to take off, it's fine, I'll keep it. -1, 7 is going to be my S prime. All right, T prime, swap the -5 and -2, and the x value, the original x, should become its opposite, so +2. -5, +2 should be T prime. Okay. Then, oops, that was for the u, wasn't it? Yep. This should be here, so this should actually be a u prime. All right, moving on. The T prime should have been -3, 2, 3, 2, which is T prime. And now I do need to erase this because it's in my way. Okay. -3, 2. And then finally for this one, it should be -7, 7. Okay, -7. Okay. And 7. And that was V prime. Okay, and I can go ahead and connect them. So I am done there. Okay, and now I have my rotated figure, and I know I am done here. Okay, so all of my points match up the way I thought they were supposed to, where they're supposed to have the x's should be negative and the y should be positives. So that matches. I know I'm good. All right, moving on. 90-degree clockwise. If it's 90-degree clockwise, I know that I'm going to, I can just go back up to my my rules here, but I'm gonna keep practicing and making sure that I know exactly how to do them without looking at the rules. So I know I've got a 90-degree clockwise turn, so I'm gonna have my x and my y are gonna switch one time. And remember the original, if it was 90-degree clockwise, the clock turns this way, so whatever is in this second position should be its opposite. That'll be here. Okay, and that one should be good. Which, did I do this one wrong? I think I did. Darn it. Okay. Okay, yep, I should be right. Okay, so 90 degrees clockwise, it does match. I think I did the other one backwards, but okay. Okay, alright. So, swap them out and make the x its opposite. Okay, so I'm going to swap them out. So 8, 7. So let me go here. I have negatives and positives. -7, 8 is up here. -1, 1 is here. And then -8, 4 is here. This is my original figure. Okay, so, and I don't know why I put this one so far over here. Okay, so I've got this, and my original figure is here. If I'm going 90 degrees clockwise, then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be going, my clock goes downwards. Nope, it goes around like this. Okay, so I know it's supposed to be going down like that, but if it's already up, it's just going to go this way. Okay, yeah, it's going to go that way. So I should end up with in this first quadrant, which is all positives. Okay, and if I do that, then yeah, that should work, where I swap them and x became its opposite, so a +7. All right, so 8, 7 should be my new f prime. All right, g should be 1, 1. Oops, let me move where I put this g. 1, 1, which is g prime. And h was originally -8, 4. It should be 4, 8 here. 4, 8 is my h prime. All right, and that looks great. Okay, looks perfect. All right, so I know I'm good here. And I wanted to go and check this one because I feel like this one looks weird. Where I know is all supposed to be, I think they're all supposed to be, did I just do it wrong? I don't know. We'll see. I have to, if I did this wrong, it's okay. I'll go back and fix it later. All right, this next one, number 4. Number 4, square JKLM with vertices J, K, L, and M, and then 270 clockwise. Well, 270 clockwise is the same as 90 counterclockwise. It's going to be negative y comma x. So that's my thing here, negative y comma x. Okay, and I want to just make sure I did this one because I know this one was not right. This one should have been that one as well, negative y comma x. That's where it was wrong. Okay. So what this should have been, it should have been somewhere else. So I'll go ahead and fix this one in a few. I actually will fix it now because I know this is wrong and it's going to bug me. I'm sorry. Okay. So my original was here, and if it's going counterclockwise, then it needs to be going this direction. So I should have ended up over here with positives for x's and y's were negatives. Okay, so that makes way more sense. I'm sorry, it was really bugging me. So sorry about that. Make sure you go back and fix number 2. So it should be positive 1, comma, negative 7. 3, negative 2, 5, negative 2, and 7, negative 7. There we go. So 7, negative 7 is V prime. 5, negative 2 is U prime. 3, negative 2 is T prime. And 1, negative 7 is S prime. Okay, there we go. This is where it should have been in that original one when I did it, but it was just super wrong, and I apologize for that one. Okay, there we go. So please correct your paper. All right, for number 2, correct this. All right, now number 4 should be the same types. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those on so I don't mess those up again. So my x stays the same, y becomes its opposite. All right, x stays the same. There's nothing I can change there. X stays the same, y becomes its opposite, and x stays the same, y becomes its opposite. There are my new ones. All right, so I had this square, so it started with 1, negative 3 at J, 5, 0 for K, 8, negative 4 for L, and 4, negative 7 for M. Why does it look all weird? It's too far over. Okay, got it. It's my M. There we go. Yeah, this one thing. It's really hard to see these little bitty squares, but here we go. There's our square. All right, that's our original square. The new square is going to be 3, 1 for J prime, 0, 5 for K prime, 4, 8 for L prime, and 7, 4 for M prime. All right, this looks good. Oh yeah, okay, this is right. Okay, now I know for a fact that that's right. All right, so again, if you feel like it looks wrong, just check your work again. Make sure that you had the rules correctly written on your paper if they were wrong. Like, again, that's why I like to check myself, because I was so confused on how I got that, and it didn't make any sense to me because I just did it super wrong. All right, so that's okay if you make mistakes. Just the best thing is that you have fixed your mistake, you caught it. That's the best thing I can ask. That's all I can ask of you. Okay, so moving on to number 5. So we have 5, 6, 7, and 8, and we should be good. So this quadrilateral, we're doing a 180. So I know with 180, it's just gonna be like this, where everything is opposite. So W prime is 6, negative 7. X prime is 3, negative 6. And you see they're all matching where I have positive, comma, negatives. 1, negative 3, and 7, negative 1. And I just have to graph them, and we are good to go there. And I'll leave y'all guys to graph those. I don't want to take too much of your time. And then on number 6, 270 counterclockwise. 270 counterclockwise, if you go back, that is going to be the same as 90 clockwise, which is y comma negative x. All right, y comma negative x. So I'm going to swap the x and y, but the x becomes its opposite. All right, swap x and y. X becomes its opposite. 5. Ooh, what's doing? Yeah. And then this one should be negative 6, and then 3, negative 5. Okay. All right, so I am going to graph this one for sure to see what this one looks like. Negative 1, 6 is C. 0, 8 is D. 6, 6, 5 is E. And 5, 3 is F. Okay, yep, it's a rectangle. Okay. That looks right. This seems wrong. Okay. Weird looking rectangle that I drew. Alright, and then my last one, I'm going to use this green. 6, 1 is C prime. 8, 0. Okay, so C prime. 8, 0 is D prime. 5, negative 6 is E prime, and 3, negative 5 is F prime, and so it does create that rectangle again. So I know that we should be good. Okay, that looks good. All right, and our final one, I need to know what the counterclockwise is going to be again, and this is where the practice is going to come in, or you can just go back to your the rules. So 270 degrees counterclockwise, I know it's the same as 90 clockwise. So I've got X, Y. I go ahead and change it one time clockwise way. So I'm going to swap Y comma X, and whatever second needs to be its opposite. So Y comma negative X, and it matches because it goes like right there. Okay, so all I'm going to do is do that, and they said the new location of point N is all they wanted. So I'm going to focus on N, where it was negative 1 comma negative 4. It's going to become, I'm just going to swap the X and Y. So negative 4 is first, and then the opposite of X, which is 1. So my new answer is supposed to be negative 4 comma 1. There's that. And this last one for you guys for today. I have the parallelogram RSTU with those vertices. I don't really care about that right now, but they asked me for point T. All right, remember for 180, those are the easy ones where all you have to do is your original becomes the new by just like making the X and the Y their opposites. Okay, so my original point for T was 6 comma 4. So the new point should just be negative 6, negative 4. And I am done there. Okay, and that is our notes for rotations. Again, with rotations, you have to come up with whatever helps you the most with remembering those rules. So again, it's going to take some practice. Just make sure that you are being patient with yourself, giving yourself some kind of grace, because just like me, it is going to be a little bit hard trying to like remember everything all at once. So just, it's okay if you mess up. This is the time to mess up during practice, but keep practicing. Okay, don't give up on yourself. All right, that is all for rotations today. Thank you.